And welcome back. Time for this week's Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. Pat, this week, Governor Fallin and legislative leaders announced agreements on what we'll call the big three legislative actions this session. I want you to walk us through these decisions. Let's start with the tax cut decision.
Yeah, the big three agreed on the big three. The tax legislation will reduce the income tax top rate from 5.25% to 5% in January of 2015. There'll be another incremental cut of 0.15 in 2016 if the economy cooperates. And eventually that adds up to about 140 million over the course of any given year, and then of course it'll be adjusted for as we go forward and people have higher incomes. So that's the thumbnail of that.
And what's your impression of what they did?
Well, I'm not impressed. We've gone in 1 year from talking about being on a glide path to get rid of the income tax to now managing to put ourselves in the position of having Kansas to the north with a lower top tax rate and Texas to the south with no income tax. This is not historic. This is frankly kind of anemic. All of these folks in the leadership campaigned to cut taxes and reduce state spending. We'll probably see, because they've delayed the effective date of the tax reduction, we're probably going to see at least $200 million in increased spending in the coming year. Whatever this is, it's not Reagan-style conservatism. This is not a prelude to major spending cuts or right-sizing of government. It's the prelude to $200 to $400 million in increased spending. And if I'm wrong, I'll say so on the air in 4 or 5 weeks, but I'm afraid I'm not going to be wrong. So on the tax front, I'm not impressed.
Despite the proclamations.
Yeah.
All right, how about workers' comp reform?
Workers' comp, it could be a big deal. We'll see. There's going to be some problems with implementation because of this era where we're going to have two systems, and we've talked about that before. You're going to have a court system operating for a time alongside an administrative system, and they did something kind of intriguing. If they did it earlier than this week, I just didn't notice it, but that is the current judges in the workers' comp system will be the administrative law judges at the beginning of the new system. This is modeled on a number of states with much lower costs than Oklahoma. Oklahoma, remember, is one of only 2 states that still has a litigation-based system, and the 6th most expensive per dollar of coverage of any of the states. And of course, workers complain about not really getting that much in benefits. So it's a system where, frankly, a lot of the money gets captured by the legal system. Now we'll see what kind of a difference this makes. The chamber says, and if they're right, they're saying $260 million in savings in a given year for Oklahoma businesses. That's going to be significant. There's some very thoughtful people like Bob Burke and Richard Morrissette who have been very aggressive in opposing this change, but it looks like to me it's within many days is going to be the law of Oklahoma.
All right, and let's go on to state infrastructure.
This is one of those things that doesn't sound that sexy, but I will give credit to Jason Murphy, Chris Steele from the earlier era, Jason Murphy from now, for the things they did on administrative costs in state government that over time are in fact going to add up. Well, a big hobby horse, if you will, for Speaker Shannon, and I'm not saying that pejoratively, I'm saying he's really pushed on this idea of pay-as-you-go for our infrastructure needs. You can make a good case for bonds, and our bond levels are fairly low, but he wants to take a pay-as-you-go approach. So on the initial stages of the state capitol, not reconstruction but improvements, and then taking care of the mess that's underneath, they're going to create a fund of about $120 million and get started on the Capitol and do other things, and they're not going to pass a bond. They're going to do it pay-as-you-go, which means they'll basically be reviewing it every year. They're going to use tax money in real time to finance the repairs. And it's actually kind of a big deal. It's kind of a significant thing.
All right, we'll be watching that, and you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great day.